Kidnapping of El Chapo's cartel partner hangs over U.S. indictment of Mexican governor. The indictment is remarkable in its detail, laying out a web of corruption at the highest levels of the Mexican government. At the center, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, is Sinaloa Governor Rubén Rochamoya, accused of allowing his state's eponymous cartel to operate with impunity after its leaders guaranteed his election by sending gunmen to intimidate rival candidates, steal ballots, and threaten voters at the poll. You get a little pushback at the polls here, right? We ain't gone so far as to start sending goons with AKs, but give America some time.
This is America.
But Mexico don't let that shit get so far where if these are the claims, well, there's smoke, there's fire, right? Did those elections happen that way? Wasn't the elections that President Citabom ended up president in the most deadly election in the history of Mexico, where candidates were falling off the shelf left and right? I wonder. Rochamoya, who maintained he'd done nothing wrong as he took leave as governor this month to address the charges, is allegedly in league with Los Chapitos, a cartel faction led by 4 sons of the infamous Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán. While prosecutors in the Southern District of New York described damning evidence, the indictment was equally notable for all that was not mentioned. One name in particular was conspicuously absent: Ismael El Mayo Zambada, a longtime partner of El Chapo with a reputation as the Sinaloa cartel's most powerful godfather. So Mayo is not in Rochamoya's indictment. He wasn't in the summaries we read, that's for sure. Beyond the ledger of monthly bribe payments to top Sinaloan officials that prosecutors said was recovered from Mexico during the investigation, the indictment appeared to rely on evidence that had to have been obtained through extraordinary surveillance or from people intimately familiar with Los Chapitos. So listen to that again. Beyond a ledger that was recovered in Mexico that had bribe payments to Sinaloa officials on it, beyond that, the indictment appeared to rely on evidence that had to have been obtained through extraordinary surveillance or from people intimately familiar with Los Chapitos. Now, we remember Jay Flores came over here and gave us a thread to pull on the El Nini connection. El Nini could be still doing what he's told. But that was why Jay pointed at Nini. He said, look at this charge right here. It's the same charge from there. Okay. Same charge from there. Who has intimate knowledge of that? Dude does. Right? So that's what they're saying here. The indictment appeared to rely on evidence that had to have been obtained through extraordinary surveillance or from people intimately familiar with Los Chapitos. Many cartel leaders, feeling the heat from U.S. authorities, have turned on one another in recent years. The latest case has left questions hanging about whether further betrayals are yet to come. 2 sons of El Chapo remain fugitives. Though there is talk, they may strike a deal to avoid the fate of being killed or captured. You get a deal. You get a deal. You get a deal. The charges against Rochamoya and 9 other current and former Sinaloan officials have roiled Mexican politics and heightened scrutiny of the remaining loose ends in the cases of Zambada and 2 Chapitos already in U.S. custody. Some suspect the chain of events that led to the recent charges began nearly 2 years ago, when a private jet arrived at a small New Mexico airport carrying 3 people. I can't believe that was already 2 years ago. One was Zambada, a septuagenarian kingpin with so many judges, generals, and politicians in his pockets. They were better off going with the Godfather line right there, man. With so many politicians in his pockets like so many nickels and dimes, that he was able to avoid spending a single night in jail in a criminal career that stretched back to the 1970s. The others on board were the pilot. Who's the pilot? He's a ghost. He's a ghost. He's a ghost. Who's the pilot, y'all? Is the pilot in custody? They never made that clear to us. The others on board were the pilot and Joaquín Guzmán Lopez, a 39-year-old son of El Chapo and Zambada's godson. According to Zambada's version of what transpired, told through a statement issued by his lawyer, he was ambushed and kidnapped by Guzmán Lopez, who lured him to a villa on the outskirts of Sinaloa's capital, Culiacán, where he expected to mediate a dispute between Rochamoya and other Sinaloan politicians. Let me ask all of the super, no snitchers and people that say he didn't cooperate. Is that not snitching? When you guys say you should have known what it is, you got in the game, you knew the rules of the game. And the old man, no, betrayal was the rule of the game. He was the architect of it. Isn't that cooperation? I'm sure I asked it 2 years ago. I'm asking it again. Isn't that cooperation? So what the fuck you arguing with me about? About all your favorite narcos that don't tell. Oh, he didn't tell. That's telling. Oh, but they kidnapped them. But that's part of the game, ain't it? What y'all be arguing about? You're not smart enough. You should get smart. You could get smart. You don't just start that way. You can get there. Some of you refuse. You're just putting on a performance. Oh, the twins are rats. The twins are, but that's not. Oh, Mayo never snitched. He never. What's that? The government gave their official words of what it was. What did he do? He told them, nah, that ain't what happened. This is what happened. Well, you guys, you contradict yourselves, man, and it's exhausting. I wonder why they haven't mentioned the pilot. Never mentioned the pilot. Never showed him getting arrested. Never mentioned whether he was one of theirs, one of ours. Silence.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Pilot? It was a self-flying plane that brought them here. Oh, that explains it. This is how they be in the comments. Shy, you don't even know. You should probably do your research. It was a drone plane. Okay? And it was actually Mayo's plane. This was all a plan. What? Shot out too many shots. That's snitching. Okay. I'm just asking because everybody be arguing about everybody else like all of these guys ain't snitches. So let me hear the rest of the story. Let's get past the snitch part. Why? Because you can't talk about the cartels if you're not talking about or talking to somebody that cooperated. What the fuck are we talking about here? It's the way they made the fucking cookies. It's part of the recipe. He said, I built this. If I'm going down, he's going down for kidnapping. That's it. He told. Oh, he didn't snitch. Then he got in front of the judge and said, I've been selling dope for 50 years. I had politicians, cops, this, that. He said, oh, but he didn't. That's not a deal. He's not making a deal. How?
No, mommy's wait.
The plane was controlled by Bigfoot, Shy. My goodness. Get it right. My bad. They said, mira, llegó el Sasquatch. Okay? It was Sasquatch. It was Chewbacca. Chewbacca flew the plane. It's Elon Musk's newest invention, self-flying. There you go. You can take a nap. You can have a sedative. Be abusive to your captured fucking cartel boss. The others on board were the pilot and Joaquin Guzman Lopez, 39-year-old son of El Chapo and Zambada's godson. All right. According to Zambada's version, what transpired, told through a statement issued by his lawyer, he was ambushed and kidnapped by Guzman Lopez, who lured him to a villa on the outskirts of Sinaloa's capital, Culiacan, where he expected to mediate a dispute between Rocha Moya and another Sinaloan politician, which would be Melesio Cuen. Rocha Moya claims his name was used as bait. The governor has denied any knowledge of the plot and has an alibi that he was traveling to Los Angeles that day. Zambada only described seeing the other politician who he said was gunned down at the scene. He did say that, and the prosecution of Sinaloa told us it was in a gas station that he got killed. Mayo proved that was a lie. At least he stated it, gave information about it. Zambada said Guzman Lopez forced him onto the plane and then delivered him to FBI and Department of Homeland Security agents waiting on the New Mexico tarmac. Zambada pleaded guilty in August to charges he co-founded the Sinaloa cartel and trafficked thousands of tons of drugs. Appearing in a Brooklyn federal courtroom, he said his business relied on paying bribes to police and military commanders and to politicians so they would allow us to operate freely. Coño, man, that's a whole lot of talking right there. Sheesh. Whew. The lawyer was typing that letter like this, boy. He was going crazy. It was long speculated that Guzman Lopez had snatched Zambada in hopes of currying favor with U.S. authorities. That theory was confirmed when he reached a plea agreement in December in the United States District Court in Chicago. At the time of his surrender, Guzman Lopez faced a raft of U.S. federal charges which could have carried a life sentence. By cooperating, he will serve far less time, a minimum of 10 years. according to a transcript of his plea hearing reviewed by the Times. His plea agreement said U.S. authorities did not request, induce, sanction, approve, or condone the kidnapping of Zambada, referred to as Individual A. The agreement said Guzman Lopez acted in the hopes of receiving cooperation credit. Listen here, Guzman Lopez, all right? We're going to need you to let the whole world know that we had nothing to do with this, okay? You just tell them that you just hoped. We're not going to do you any favors out loud. We're going to do your favors quietly, okay? You're going to do 10 years and 1 day, and then you'll be able to roam the streets of wherever you choose in the good old United States of America. That's just what they told us. He said, now imagine what else is said behind closed doors. In fact, I think they're waiting for a video. That's what they... you guys are great with the spoilers. We're getting there. We're going to see. I think we brought that up as a possibility too. Like, hey, let's see if they get 36 years or 12. If Jay got 14, I say he gets 12 and a half. Yeah, they're just going to tip right over that minimum real quick in hopes of receiving cooperation credit. At his plea hearing in Chicago, he told the judge he had studied finance in college before joining his brothers in the drug trade. He said he was taking medication for anxiety and depression. Oh, Dito. He's only in the business because his brothers are bullies, said one law enforcement source familiar with his case, not authorized to speak publicly. Everybody's looking for excuses. They're pointing at each other. The brothers pointing at each other. These cops the judge seemed to be very friendly with Joaquin. Cops seem to be very friendly with Joaquin. It's a little crazy. He's only in the business because his brothers are bullies, said one law enforcement source familiar with this case, not authorized to speak publicly. One of those brothers is Ovidio Guzman Lopez, who's been in U.S. custody since 2023. He pleaded guilty to various charges last July when court filings revealed that he too is cooperating with U.S. authorities. Their half-sibling is the alleged ringleader of Los Chapitos, Iván Archivaldo Guzmán Salazar. U.S. authorities have offered a reward of $10 million for his capture. Guzmán Salazar, 42, is a key figure in the case against El Rocha. With the indictment claiming he commanded his army of sicarios to wage a campaign of terror in order to ensure the governor's 2021 election. Two sources familiar with the ongoing cases, again, not authorized to speak publicly, said Guzman Salazar and his younger brother have been in contact with U.S. authorities about the possibility of a negotiated surrender. One of the sources said the discussions had been underway for a year and suspected the brothers have been waiting to see how their half-siblings' cases play out before making their move. Coño, man. What they've been doing for a year. Let's go back to Velez's list. Shy. Are they cooperating? Is that even a question? Their main alliance contacts with the CJ&G got taken out. Panu and Mayo got abducted. Yes, they've been cooperating. What if they stringing everybody along? Huh? I guess they have, right? I was just going to say that, Chino. Well, I wasn't going to say that now. I was going to say that earlier, but I didn't want to get into the weeds about it. Chino only got 7 years, and he for sure had body. Absolutely. It doesn't necessarily say they cooperate. It says that they've been in contact. Have been in contact with U.S. authorities. We know for a fact Joaquin was in contact, right? Because otherwise, your plane gets blown out the sky, no? I feel like they have had contact, but it might not matter anymore because they're labeled FTOs. That don't matter. If you ask me, Maduro made a deal. I don't think it matters, all these terrorists, all these words. Remember, what did they say? Didn't they say in as far as the Tren de Aragua, whatever the fuck, they said it was a mislabeling? They don't give, those words don't mean shit unless they want them to. When they want them to, they mean something. When it doesn't matter, they don't. The lawyer for the brothers, Jeffrey Lichtman, did not respond to questions from the Times. Come on, Jeffrey Lichtman. Cut the bullshit, man. Come on, Jeffrey. Answer the Los Angeles Times, man. Tell us what we want to know. Is this shit over? Why don't you tell your boys to just give this shit up? That the people of Sinaloa are tired. The governor's house just got shot up. The governor was indicted. They've been on lockdown for 2 years. Just tell your boys to hang that shit up, man. Both sides. Because remember, the same lawyer be representing all of them and shit. They all got matching lawyers. They've been like that for over the last 15 years. It's a strange system we have here, right? Where the key to so many cooperators is in Jeffrey Lichtman's hands, and he's just plugged with all of them. If there's anybody that knows more than everybody, more than the United States government, more than the cartel guys themselves, it's that fucking guy. Gotta be. If Guzman Salazar ever faces justice in the U.S., where he is under multiple federal indictments, it's unclear whether he would be charged with any crimes in connection with Zambada's kidnapping. So far, nobody has been held to account for the killing of Hector Melesio Cuen Ojeda, a political rival of Rocha Moya, who Zambada says was shot to death during his abduction. Zambada also said 2 of his bodyguards, one of them a Sinaloa State Police commander,
No, mommy's wake.
Just think of how that sounds. The Kingpin also said, the biggest narco in the last 50 years also said 2 of his bodyguards, one of them, a Sinaloa State Police commander, have not been seen or heard from since. This is an absurd game, boy. The sources who spoke with the Times said the plane that carried Zambada to the U.S. belonged to Guzman Salazar, suggesting it was he who orchestrated the plot. That's an answer we've always wanted. Whose plane was it? We never knew whose plane it was. They never told us it was Ivan's plane. But these confidential informants, these fuentes, say it was. The pilot was apparently released after landing and allowed to return to Mexico. He was later arrested in Sinaloa by Mexican security forces and quietly handed over to the Trump administration last August, along with more than 24 other suspected cartel figures. That sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
The pilot was apparently released after landing and allowed to return to Mexico. Why? Oh, because he was just a pilot for the plane. Okay. You send him back and then Mexico picks him up and hands him back over? Nah, something don't sound right about that. And quietly handed over to the Trump administration last August along with more than 24 other suspected cartel figures. So that means in one of the stories that we covered about them sending over all these expelled prisoners, not extradited, expelled, the pilot that we were wondering about all this time was in that mix. Somebody explain to me why this makes sense right here. If they're trying to get him surrendered, wouldn't this leaking out make them back out? Just a question. I think there's just a constant, I think this is just part of it. Like, they're used to this shit. This is a constant ebb and flow of how that cooperation shit works. They know there's always going to be speculation out there. So whenever somebody says it leaked, to them it's the same as somebody's speculations, no? Maybe. Shout out Sam. If this article is true, I feel like the Mexican government will try to eliminate them, like Mencho, before they could turn themselves in. It's a possibility. I mean, go ahead. Keep knocking off these guys that were going to cooperate. And see them pointing their fingers at you. They already pointed their fingers at the government, so es mejor que se tranquilicen. They got to relax. The pilot, remember, we never saw him arrested. We never saw an extra person. We never saw him, period, right? We never heard nothing about him. We had fake stories about some white man, and it was just all bunch of bullshit. This is saying the pilot was apparently released after landing and allowed to return to Mexico. Why? You just flew 2 fugitives across the border. Okay, United States. Evidently, you knew what was happening. You made a deal. The deal was, I'm going to release the pilot. Okay. He goes back to Mexico. They arrest him in Mexico. And then they hand him over to the Trump administration in one of those expellings. So he ends up back here. I just don't understand the logic in it. And couldn't you guys, I guess it's stranger than fiction if it's the truth, because couldn't you guys make better stories? These stories be fucked up and convoluted, but I think that's the point. There was a young pilot that got sent to the U.S. in that mix, right? In that mix of expellings. I don't see themselves turning themselves in until after Mayo gets sentenced. What's the logic in them waiting for him and not? What if his brother Ovidio is sentenced first and he said, that sounds good. You think he's going to wait for all of them? Joaquin? I mean, who knows? As long as they can stay alive, shit. Do what you got to do. Ivan and Alfredo need to pick up their father's entire playbook, not half of it, if they plan on surviving the game they're in. I'd like for you to expound on that in the chat. Like, what part of the playbook? Because, I mean, I don't know what it did for him. What did he not do that they should? I think last year they arrested one of Ivan's pilots. His name was Alejandro, I think, but I don't know if it's the same one they're talking about in the article. They've been very vague about that. Imagine your dad, brother, instead of dying for these dudes just to turn themselves in and live happily ever after, went out. Oh, man. And the blood vendettas against that family are in the fucking hundreds of thousands. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of bodies, Brody. And that's what they do. They get to the bosses. The bosses that told the guys at the bottom, no talking, no snitching. It probably was a white pilot from the CIA. That was always my initial thought, because we never saw him arrested. Now they're giving us some story about how they let him go. He jumped the fence, went back, and then they arrested him again and then sent him back again? What? And how does he survive in Mexico? What they arrested him for and sending him back for? Doesn't make sense, yeah. I wonder if the pizzas turned in handle. It's so much betrayal, so much fuckery that you can't even keep the math together, bro. You know, right now, people are thinking that the hats and the pizzas are the ones talking on El Rocha. People think there's an Avengers situation against these politicians. Like, there's so many different angles. It's madness. El Chapo's full playbook, using the whole state, turning in allies, cutting deals, paying massive bribes. I mean, shit. If everything everybody says is true that they have blamed on them and said they've done, they are doing exactly what you said they should do. They're writing their own playbook at this point. If what everybody says about them is true, they're writing their own playbook at this point. They got secret recordings. The Oakland Leaks video deeply explains this. Oh, I don't doubt that. It's probably their most prized possessions, right? All the residual dirt in the bags that they got to carry around. Hard drives and shit. Lichtman is publicly criticizing the Mexican government, so I think the Chapitos are just going to start giving up corrupt politicians like Rocha in order to get a deal. The final playbook. The question is, does Mayo want in on that? Mayo's like, I need a piece. Those are my fucking politicians. I need a piece of this. They said when Joaquin turned himself in, he only showed up with a pocket full of USBs. Whew. Imagínate. No wonder he's sitting around laughing and joking with the judge and the prosecution. He's sitting around watching movies with these fools. Shy, because they're negotiating, it don't mean they're in contact on a daily. I get it. In contact. I'll hit y'all up. Maybe I'll talk to y'all in 3 months. Aquí estoy. A la orden.
No mommy's wait.
Yeah, I know they ain't calling daily and debriefing. Same kind of contact that Joaquin had to call somebody, right, and say, hey, bro, we got motherfucking Fidel Ice. He's flying the fucking plane. We're going to pull up in the U.S., all right? Don't shoot us down. Somebody had to make the call, right? They probably been in contact longer than that year. Definitely had contacts longer than that year. His father had him 30 years ago. Jay, how did Chapo talk around his kids? Ask a better question. How many times a year did he see his kids? Yeah, there it is. Shout out P. I had contact with them for a year, on and off. I agree. It doesn't have to be they're on the phone for 7 hours giving information. Nah, they testing the water. Hey, man, what's going on? What's going on over there? How's my brother's case looking? It's a dance to play carefully while they think of who else to serve up. Let me keep you at the end of this string and figure this out. Maybe it's all a matter of time at this point. It's been a matter of time for 2 years. Are these guys going to say, man, all right, I'm cutting bait. I got to go. And they bounce, they go make a deal. And then what happens to all those loyal soldiers? What do? They get a new job with the other side, and most of them get smoked, and all of their shit taken. What happens? And then these guys do what? 12 years. Then they go to Disney. Then they go back. Like the other guy? I don't know. Just asking. Alfredo, the brother, is just there in the back chilling. You don't know or hear nothing about this guy. Nope. He's been a ghost. Rarely see a picture. Saw one recently. Sources familiar with the case identified him as Mauro Alberto Nunez Ojeda, a.k.a. Hundo. So look, all that talking we did trying to get to this line, and this was the line that tells us that it was El Hundo that they were talking about. Why'd they let him go? Sounds stupid to me. It ain't like it was, some guy in a tuxedo that's a pilot that just works at a hangar somewhere. This is one of their guys, one of their pilots. Why'd the U.S. let him go? That sounds like bullshit to me.
Bullshit.
Court records show he pleaded guilty to federal charges last month in Washington, D.C., admitting that his job in the cartel was to work directly for Guzman Salazar, overseeing his fleet of aircraft, serving as his personal pilot, and ferrying shipments of drugs and weapons. The court filings make no mention of Zambada's kidnappings, and Nunez Ojeda's attorney did not respond to a question about his client's alleged role in the affair. A Department of Justice spokesperson declined to comment. The Chapitos have cousins as well who are in the game as well, but you don't hear about them. Yeah, it's too many names, too many numbers. El siete, el once, el 22, el 44. No joda. Eso es mucho. I've been asking that question since the beginning. So have we. Who and where did the pilot who drove the plane end up at? Yeah. We've been asking the same shit. And we've had the pieces. We had it handled, but we're like, they're not being clear about it because it sounds stupid, right? He gets off a plane here with 2 fugitives. They send him back to snatch him there and send him back? I just don't understand it. Facing life in prison with no parole, Zambada is being held while he awaits a July 20th sentencing hearing at the same federal jail in Brooklyn that houses former Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. Given the possibility that he could be shipped to the remote Supermax prison in Colorado, where his former partner El Chapo has been held in extreme isolation since his 2019 conviction, some have speculated that Zambada could seek to help himself by spilling secrets about Rocha Moya and others. Rocha Moya seems to be fucked from many different angles. So he got off the plane and then what? They put him on a Greyhound bus back to Mexico. The whole story of Mayo being kidnapped makes zero sense to me. Zambada's lawyer, Frank Perez, has denied any such thing. Nobody. We're not talking. What are you talking about? Reports circulating on media outlets claiming that Mr. Zambada has entered into a cooperation agreement with the United States government are categorically false, Perez said in a statement to the Times. Mr. Zambada has not entered into any cooperation agreement, has not pled pursuant to any cooperation arrangement, and is not cooperating with the United States government in any capacity. Okay. Whether the kidnapping of Zambada was a masterstroke or a blunder for Los Chapitos remains to be seen. The betrayal triggered a civil war within the cartel, and the factions loyal to El Chapo's sons have been severely weakened over the last year, losing territory across Sinaloa. The indictment of Rocha Moya appears to strike another blow. An acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche said last week that more charges could be on tap soon against other Mexican officials. Regardless of what happens next, one source familiar with the Chapitos cases said the kidnapping of Zambada was a legit gangster move, for sure. I think it's wild that the U.S. government made such a big deal about the Chapitos and fentanyl. They're about to give these guys deals and allow them to potentially serve only like 10 years. I agree. It's all headlines, Papa. That's all it is. I think the brothers are keeping their options open. Yeah, they're keeping their options open and hedging their bets, waiting to see what happens in the game as far as their brothers go, and then go from there. We'll see. all these guys with the confidential sources is just another news week, a news cycle. Yeah. Well, somebody needs some headlines. Let's check out Rocha's house getting blown up. So the first thing I saw was images of a shot up crib like this. Okay, this is Rocha Moya's crib supposedly. That shit is Swiss cheese, man. Right? Swiss cheese. I don't know if it's a rental house, a vacation house. I don't know what the fuck it is. I do know that shit got a lot of holes in it. I don't know if his family was there. I didn't hear any casualties.